Hey, this is Jason Hawes from Sci-Fi Channel's Ghost Hunters. And you're listening to The Alternate Route Podcast.
Look, I know the supernatural is something that isn't supposed to happen. It does happen.
A ghostly apparition in the dark of night.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Hey there, ponderers of the paranormal. You have found the Paranormally Zone, your home for all things paranormal, unexplained, odd, and mysterious. My name is Patrick Koffenberg. I am responsible for these paranormal shenanigans, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host with the ghosts, the voluptuous Mike.
Holy God.
No. What? The voluptuous.
Does that mean
Mike.
I'm curvy and kind of a Juno-esque looking figure of a man?
Well, I'm really not sure why that popped into my head. All I know is that it made me laugh. And so I just wanted to, I think it fits for some reason. I don't know. I think of it as a compliment. It's a compliment. Isn't it?
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, thank you then.
Okay. You're
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
Well, you can always ask your lovely lady friend Mary if that wasn't a compliment or if you should like punch me the next time you see me now, since I said
Oh,
that.
I wouldn't do that no matter what, but still.
You'd give me the death stare. That's about it. And then I'd cower with fear and we'd be done. So I was gonna call you my Padre because you're wearing your San Diego Padres shirt.
Yes, I am.
So there you go. But that one sounded funny enough to me. So
No.
Anyways, how you doing, Mike? We just hung out last night
We did.
in your hometown of Enderlin, North Dakota, and here we are again, firing it up for the podcast. So let's
We
make it a
hung
good
out
one.
quite voluptuously last
Oh,
night.
I don't like how that sounded.
Yeah. Well,
I
we
guess so.
sat across the table from each other.
We did. We stared into each other's
Candlelight.
eyes. Candlelight. Yep. We had some incense going. The mood was set. We were very close. We touched fingers.
No. No. Our fingers were touching the same item.
Well, that's
Well, that
okay.
doesn't sound good either.
That actually sounds a lot worse, Mike. So let's just say
Our fingers were splayed across the planchette.
There you go. That just be explicit right there. That's yes, it was, man. We did the deed. For
All right, quit
Man,
throwing in this.
What's up with
these euphemisms?
Yes, I don't like it. I do not like it. Okay.
You went from me being voluptuous to us doing the deed.
Right. Man, maybe it's I'm just trying to get rid of the phrase "shiny Bigfoot dong." I'm trying to get rid of that. I'm getting that, so I'm expunging that from my memory, and now we're just going to talk about us doing the deed and touching our fingertips in a darkly lit room
in the kitchen, and no less.
That's true. That's true. Well, food is the gateway to the soul, so I think that's what we were thinking there. So, no, it was interesting. It was definitely interesting. I certainly hope that our patrons will enjoy the content. I'm going to be releasing those tomorrow. We have several video clips, several audio clips that I'm going to be going through, listening to, watching, and we'll see what we potentially captured. We thought, without giving anything away, we did while we were doing the Ouija board session. We had the spirit box going, and we did think that we thought. That sounded good. We thought
that we'd had.
Oh my God!
Done.
Yeah, we thought that we'd done, and we thought perhaps we got some direct replies again. So I'm looking forward to listening to those. And yeah, I hope that our patrons will enjoy the content. It was intriguing and it was interesting, Mike. It was the first time I have ever participated in a Ouija board session. And it was I was a
Who
as
made you at?
long-time listeners know, ding, ding, dingy, ding, ding. There you go. Ding, ding, ding. Can't really hear it.
Dang it.
Yep, there you go.
Stop it.
There you go.
Okay, there we go.
Born and raised Catholic, I was very apprehensive about, as silly as some may feel it is, I was very apprehensive about utilizing the Ouija board. But, I got through it. I forged through my fear, Mike, my tension, my apprehension, and we got it done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. But there was a time halfway through that I did get did you smell anything weird?
Are you asking me that right now? Literally? Like,
yeah, like while we were there, because I didn't bring it up last night.
I thought you were asking me right now if I smelled anything weird.
No, last night while we were doing the Ouija woo board.
the Ouija woo. I don't remember smelling anything
even just
weird.
like remotely for a moment.
I unfortunately remember smelling dog poo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that was earlier.
I don't remember. I'm not pulling any memories about smelling anything.
See if this kind of jogs your memory a little bit, because I did smell it. It was momentary. It was quickly gone, but I smelled like rancid pea soup.
Rancid? Oh God.
Kind of a soury smell.
So, okay, you're building that up quite a bit, and I think you're just using that as a joke. You're making fun of me and my Catholicism and my fear of the Exorcist, and not necessarily Linda Blair, but
But I smelled nothing.
Okay. So what a waste of 3 minutes that you just put us through, Mike. I'm kidding.
Sorry.
I'm kidding.
Anyway.
I'm a giant waste myself. And I'm kidding right there. Oh, my Lord. Lots of kidding going on in the paranormal zone. I almost just called ourselves by our old name.
Really?
Damn it. Yeah.
I don't even remember what our old name was.
That's very true. So, well, Mike, this is going to be a cool episode. We didn't have any real solid plans for a topic. Well, let's just be honest.
Right.
We were kind of winging it. We were planning on recording an episode last night at your place, but we were time ran short real quick, didn't it?
It did.
And so we decided to record one tonight, and we were again trying to think of topics, but at the same time wanting to make sure it was well done. And we just decided.
We wish for that with every episode.
I know. So by that I mean time to sit down and do some research, and get our facts straight and all that stuff, But it just
exactly.
Again, time was running short today, and long story short, too late. We're just gonna wing it tonight, man. And an idea popped into my head that I found intriguing, and I hope that you found it intriguing too, Mike. Well, you agreed to it, so apparently you did.
Very intriguing.
Yeah, I thought, why not? Let's just theorize. Let's banter back and forth. Let's talk about what we think is going on in the mind, the proverbial mind, the theoretical.
Right, there's no actual matter there.
No, the theoretical mind of a ghost. I'm going to title this episode "The Ghost Perspective," and it seems like it could be a potentially fun topic, Mike.
I really like it.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're going to be bantering back and forth about that. Hopefully it will come out well. And then for one last take, we're going to dive into the SOLWAY SPACEMAN. I think it's easy to call that one infamous.
Very, for over, 50 years or...
Geez, yeah.
Or so.
57 years or so, yeah. So, very, very intriguing. 57, 58, I guess. Yeah, very intriguing image.
And for those of you who might not be familiar with the SOLWAY SPACEMAN, just wait, you will find out.
There you go. Yeah. Hey, we'll just say it's a photo taken back in 1964 that allegedly captured a spaceman. So,
yes.
we're going to be diving into that. It's
A
very
spaceman, not of this
Thank you.
Earth.
Yes, yeah, not like an astronaut. It wasn't like
not like Neil.
not
I was going to say Neil Young. Neil
a-
Young bouncing up and down in low gravity.
Neil Young's an astronaut. Wow.
Neil Armstrong.
Yeah, it's not like a random casual photo of, like you said, Buzz Aldrin or Neil Armstrong, wandering aimlessly in a field. We're not talking about astronauts.
Or Neil Young. Either.
Yeah, or Neil Young. Yeah. So.
Or Neil Patrick Harris. Still dressed as Doogie Howser.
Doogie Howser. I think it's either an alien or Doogie Howser. I couldn't tell which one it was. So,
Anyway.
Mike, that I have to say this right now because my self-esteem is horrid.
Yeah.
Years ago, gosh, I'd say at least well over a decade, 15 years ago or so, I remember being out on the town with a friend of mine, and somehow coming into conversation with a table of some young ladies and stuff, and hanging out and having a good time and just casual. I have no idea who they were, and I don't know if they were from town, but anyways, thinking everything is going well, and then at one point, one of the gals just cracks up laughing, points at me, and says, "Anyone ever told you sound just like Doogie Howser?" That ruined my night. I literally ruined my night.
Well, but why though? I mean, it's not like he had some, effeminate, whiny voice. And not that there's anything wrong with effeminate, whiny voices.
Well,
but
right. Yeah. Clarify that. Please clarify that.
Yeah. No, seriously. I mean, I do mean that.
Yeah. It's, I'm sensitive, and it bothered me, and I sulked and I pouted, and then I went home. So anyways, a little sidebar there. So. Oh, Doogie Howser. So every time you mention Neil Patrick Harris.
I like Doogie Howser. I mean, I like Neil Patrick Harris. He's a great actor.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He was great in that show and subsequent shows that he has been in since.
Well, the one thing that I like about Neil Patrick Harris, I should say the role that always comes to my mind is he plays the villain in A Million Ways to Die in the West, the Seth MacFarlane film. It's I've never really watched that movie, but I've wanted to. Oh gosh, Mike, it's hilarious.
It's got to be hilarious.
It's hilarious. It is. It's you have to get enjoy that type of humor for sure.
Oh, absolutely. It's a definite.
Bridge and I
definite
laugh our asses off.
Specific humor.
So, anyways, well, we're here to talk about ghosts and their perspective. We're not sitting here to talk about Doogie Howser, for God's sake. So, Mike, let's just dive right into it. Okay.
Okay.
The first thing I want to say, I want to throw out this example. I'm sure I've mentioned it on the Alternate Out podcast before. One of my favorite episodes of Ghost Hunters, the series Ghost Hunters,
involved. Yes, I know where you're going with this.
Involved an interaction between Grant. Well, I should say Jason and Grant had an interaction between what they believed to be a spirit / ghost.
Right.
But what made it really intriguing,
and the spirit had an interaction with them.
It did.
As well.
And leaving out the specifics, because quite frankly I can't remember the specifics right now. There was communication between a female from wherever, another dimension, another existence, another realm, a ghost.
It was as if it was just on the other side of a very thin veil where you couldn't quite see through it.
Yeah,
but just a little bit.
It was just right there. Yeah, and the interaction between those three was it blew me away, and it still blows me away.
Yeah, me too.
Because of what they said, and I'm gonna I'm not going to get the exact quotes here. I'm paraphrasing.
Yes.
Long story short, Jason and Grant were interacting with this spirit. I'm doing quotes, air quotes, spirit, where they were asking, who she was, where she was, so on and so forth. And one of the replies that this entity gave them was essentially like, well, of course I am here. And then ask the question, who are you? Because she, from her perspective, this entity's perspective, Jason and Grant were the quote unquote ghosts coming in and out of her realm of existence.
It does blow me away. It's just fascinating.
Yeah,
and how often, does this happen? That we don't even realize. I mean, that interaction or almost interaction from either side of that veil is just by seeing something, by them seeing us or us thinking that we saw something, could be the same thing, but no words were exchanged. It's amazing.
Absolutely amazing. And the fact that it was audible and they both heard them,
Right.
Grant and Jason heard her, she heard them, and they were conversing essentially.
Right.
And a similar example, Mike, when we talked about the Perrin family haunting,
right?
Andrea Perrin's mother, when she walked around the corner in her house there, and all of a sudden it's as if she entered another dimension.
Right.
The floor was dirt. There was a family sitting around a wooden oak table at a fireplace, and there was no fireplace in that house at the time, but all of a sudden there was a fireplace, and one of the persons sitting at that table said, pointing to Andrea's mother, said, "There's the ghost," pointing to Andrea's mother, and then all this just vanishes. How fascinating is that, Mike? It
is, and it shows that that time itself there isn't such a thing as time.
Nope.
It's just how would you even explain it? I mean, I know physicists can explain it, or whatever, but it's that there's that loop or something that every so often it gets closer together, or we get closer together with them, where it thins. I don't even know how to explain it.
I see. I like how you said that loop, because it gave me a good visual. Of kind of multiple loops kind of intertwining.
It would have to be multiple loops.
Back and forth.
Countless loops.
Yep, countless. Until
finally,
just by
like we've talked about before and mentioned the movie The Others, which I highly suggest if people haven't seen it to check it out. Very interesting.
Yep, similar concept. Great movie. Again, at the risk of repeating myself, it blows me away. It melts my mind. And so that's why I figured, well, why not dive into this, Mike? Let's melt both of our brains tonight. Let's just wing it.
Let's bring ourselves back to the 70s, or at least me.
So that's right.
I mean, back in the 70s, you weren't melting your mind in any way, shape, or form.
Not at all. No, never.
I, on the other hand, was.
Oh, okay. At least you're being honest. You're being honest, yes. Mike. So the first thing I want to throw out there, Mike, and I'm asking you directly, what do you think the majority of quote unquote ghosts, and this is such a broad question, so you don't have to, you could backhand me the next time you see me for throwing out such a huge question to you.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Do you think the majority of what we refer to as ghosts are aware that they are ghosts? What we define as ghosts?
I wish I knew a percentage of that, but there's got to be, maybe it's 50-50. There are so many people that die that don't know that they have died, and all they know that they're existing and not understanding, maybe. I don't know. But there's got to be a percentage that do and that don't realize it.
Do you think that if a quote unquote ghost is aware that they are not alive physically, in your opinion, is that I guess, for lack of a better term, a sad realization for these ghosts, these spirits? Are they going, what the fuck? I mean, really?
I mean, that can go either way too, I think. the sad realization because they did not want to die. Maybe, maybe it's something that they find exciting. That, well, look at this, what I can do. Or I think it can actually go to being downright pissed off.
That's a great. I was hoping you were going to say that. Because, and the pissed off ones are those that perhaps make it easier for investigators to make contact with them because they are exuding such a stronger energy. I would imagine.
Oh, absolutely. There's got to be a stronger energy there. Well, even the sadness, that's
strong,
can be a strong energy there too.
Yep. Good point. Yep.
So, yeah.
Okay, let's say let's say we did hear legit replies on the spirit box, Mike. Okay, let's say that there was someone or something, some energy coming through to us, conversing to us through the spirit box. Again, very broad question. Are those, if there were several spirits in the house, several entities in the house, by chance, are they aware of their existence at that time, Mike, in your opinion? Or is it something that, are they just coming in and out of these dimensions that we talk about so often? Or is it just that break in the veil? Is this something that has happened such, an infinite amount of times that it's just by chance, pure chance, that we are hearing a reply on the spirit box? They're not necessarily replying directly to us, but it's like math. It's the mathematical, what's the term I'm looking for? Likelihood that we're going to hear a response just because it's happened so many times before. It's like, well, we're going to hear something eventually because it's happened an infinite amount of times. Do you understand what I'm kind of getting at?
That makes sense.
I don't know. You're giving me a quizzical looks. I hope I'm being clear.
No, I am understanding what you're saying. I believe there's got to be a degree of all of that. I mean, I think like the chance of just something coming through because that's the moment that's closest or whatever, like that loop we were talking about, just by chance. I think that definitely can happen. And it might not even make any sense or might not have any valid whatever thing that it's going to be trying to say. But then there's also the intelligence of spirits at the right time that are giving responses. I mean, that's been proven
and using the energy to push their message through.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
Oh gosh, my brain is already going a million miles an hour here because I want to dive into so much. Mike, if you were a ghost, would you be a happy one? What would your ghost perspective be? I know it's a silly question, but it's probably impossible to answer. But hey, why not?
I'd be happy and having a good time because the first thing I would do is come to you and slap you in the face.
I knew you were going to say that.
And you would hear my voice or my laughter saying, "I told you so."
Oh, you mean this? I just. I'd be like,
you would hear that.
Yeah, I'd just be getting belted to death here, and then Mike just giggling maniacally in the ether somewhere. So it's like, okay, Mike,
I would be happy to a certain point, but it also depends on, what I've left behind that I would be missing out on too. So there'd have to be some, a mixture of emotions there.
Sure. No, I gotcha. And like I said, it's a silly question, so I apologize.
Right. Well, it's just like you said, a broad.
It is
question.
It is. So another thing I want to dive into, Mike. Another brain teaser here. Okay, Mike. I'm going to posit this question.
Okay.
Do ghosts feel emotions? Ooh, Mike, he's looking at the sky right now.
I'm thinking because,
or his ceiling, I should say.
you hear about ghosts that are crying, that appear sad, or the anger. That's an emotion.
Very much so. Yes.
I would have to say, of course they do. I mean,
Okay.
I think there's a gamut of emotion and deep emotion in spirits.
Can these emotions, I'm sorry for interrupting, Mike, but I need to get this out there before I forget.
Yeah.
Can these emotions change within a ghost? You know, can if, like you said, we've heard of the crying ghost. You mentioned, the anger coming forth. Can that anger subside? Can the crying ghost no longer be sad? Is that possible?
Well, yeah. Think of a ghost that feels like they're stuck here, or they're haunting a house and having these emotions that show like the anger or the sadness, or that you hear the crying or whatever. And then when they're helped to pass on,
great point.
Those emotions are changed by that. They are released of their anger or their sadness or whatever. I think to be able to pass on.
Mm-hmm. Great point.
Does that make sense?
No, it does. Absolutely. Yeah, because it makes 100% sense. Because like you said, that's how often do we hear about, I'm giggling to myself a little bit because I think of the movie Poltergeist, and she's, what's her name again? She wasn't the exorcist, the medium they brought in there.
Oh, Tangina Barons.
There you go. Yeah. And she's like, this house.
Magic Munchkin, as
that's right.
Craig T. Nelson called her,
the magic,
or something like that.
And she's like, this house is clear, kind of like
this house is clean.
So the house is clear. Like the house is clean itself, and that's a whole nother topic altogether right there. Haunted, or the energy that a house may have. The house, the house itself could be haunting the residents. You know what I mean? It's the building. It's not
just the energy of
energy of it. Yeah. So okay, so I agree with you, Mike, that ghosts can definitely have emotions, because I mean, as the joke goes, ghosts were people too, and
that's right,
and they still aren't they? I mean,
absolutely, just in another form.
In another form. So why would they not feel emotions? Like you said, Mike, especially if they're trapped here. Or, or if they're here for any number of reasons, they feel like they have unfinished business. Of course, they're going to be very emotional and and quite frankly, sad. So,
right.
Okay, I get that. What do you think about the idea of a trapped ghost? What would the perspective be of a trapped ghost who is not aware of his or her existence, their state of existence, and I of course the comedic example is Beetlejuice, Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis, it took them forever to realize that they were dead. They were
right.
Hold on. They took them forever to finally realize that
we're gold.
There you go.
Yeah, sorry. Timing is everything there.
Yeah.
But before they come to that realization, that acceptance, I'm trying to put into perspective. If they are an intelligent form of existence and they are definitely aware of their status, if they were trapped, I could only imagine how angry and frustrated, Mike.
Absolutely.
And how
the frustration, there's a big one. The anger,
the frustration, absolutely. Especially if there are people residing in their former house and they can't contact them. That they're essentially the only. Their only potential contact would be the people residing in their house, and they can't do it.
And if they go out the door, it's like sandworms. You hate them, I hate them.
That's right. Yeah, I can't get away from them damn sandworms doing there right now. But I can only imagine that it's not a good thing. It adds to a lot of the fear of passing away. Especially if you aren't of the utmost faith, of what have you. You don't have the comfort and believing that you are going somewhere. If this is my word of the night, Mike. I'll posit this question to you. It is related to the topic, but not necessarily about the perspective of a ghost. What do you think are the chances that being afraid of dying increases your chance of being, I hate to say it, miserable in the afterlife because you aren't accepting it, essentially. Does that question make sense to you?
Yeah, I believe if you have that fear, and I mean, you could go through your entire lifetime of fearing death and being totally mortified of the thought of death. That energy or that emotion could be such a strong energy that would carry over.
Yeah, that you're burying yourself in negative energy right there. Are you not?
Oh yeah, and you're just setting yourself up to be either miserable in the afterlife if you're stuck and you can't move on because of that, or because of whatever reason, or if you're at your death, something alleviate that fear at the moment of death. You know what I mean? Like say, like we've talked about many times, you're on your deathbed and you have a family that come to help you along to the next dimension or the next stage of your existence, that could totally alleviate that fear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they set your mind at ease and you have an easy transition. But what if that emotion is so strong in you, that fear is so strong in you that it does carry over and you're going to be tormented afterwards. I mean, you're just your existence is going to be hell.
I don't like that.
You know,
I don't like that idea or that notion.
So hopefully you're going to be met to by family or by deceased relatives that can alleviate that fear and let you know at that point of passing that you have nothing to fear. Just you come with us and everything is going to be wonderful.
Yeah. No, that's a great way of putting it. Yeah. Help you transition. Absolutely. To alleviate the tensions and alleviate the fear. I agree, Mike. Again, very broad questions I'm throwing towards you. So
you are. So I'm giving you very broad answers.
Hey, well, it works. It works.
Yeah.
Now, I found a very interesting article from the Association of Psychological Science.org. And the article is simply titled, "What Do Ghosts Feel?" And it's very interesting. This was published back in 2016. And it has a lot of humor in it. It does. But, sometimes I'm reading it, I feel like it's almost kind of mocking the studies a little bit. Perhaps it is. But some of the ideas that is put forth here are great. I mean, I like them. They definitely make for a good conversation. But the question I wanted to throw towards you, Mike, that's a simple one. Do ghosts enjoy scaring us? And if so, why? Why?
Oh, man.
Mike
Is
laughs.
it a simple one? Yeah. Not all of them are going to enjoy scaring. But I mean, like, if it was me, of course. I mean, people that have that kind of personality in life, joking jokesters, and what kind of gratification do they get out of it? Is it like, something that's fun for them, or are they scaring people because they're miserable and they want to make somebody else miserable by scaring them? Or
Sure.
do they want to just really ramp up that fear in somebody that they can feed off of it?
There you go.
And
that would give them, henceforth, that would give them even more energy if they're feeding off of that fear.
It's a possibility. I mean, it's a theory, but
sure.
It's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
The Carbno wheel of theories. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, there's an interesting quote here from spiritualist William James, and he was quoted as to say, "Ghosts do not cause us to feel fear. Rather, it is the experience of fear that summons ghosts to us." What do you think about that? That's kind of intriguing. So
it is.
That to me, that's a very negative connotation of all ghosts, isn't it?
It is. It is. I mean, it can also go back to that. Is the energy of that fear drawing them in?
Right.
You know, like batteries in your spirit box. You know.
Right. No. Yeah. Great.
You know, so I would say that could happen, but as a possibility, but not the only possibility, the only answer to that.
And, you know, and also to me, not only is it kind of it kind of encompasses all of it, you know, it encapsulates all of it, I should say, as a negative connotation or with a negative connotation. But it almost lends argument towards the idea that all paranormal occurrences are purely man-made, for lack of a better term. You know, everything that we have experienced, all things ghostly, all things paranormal, all things unexplained, are all basically figments of our own mind. And if it is physical, it is something that we still have conjured up, aka, or not aka, but example, poltergeist activity, where so many argue that poltergeist activity is conjured up. There's that phrase again. By adolescents, you know, going through their it's a very powerful time in their lives, going through changes, and it's for some reason, I don't understand the physics of it. I don't understand how it will work, but we are causing this somehow. So that quote by William James kind of, to me, I interpret it as, well, we're doing this to ourselves, basically. And I know that you don't agree with that, Mike, but
no, I don't. I mean, I'm sure that can happen, like anything else can happen in the paranormal. I mean, and we don't know for sure. I mean,
no, sure,
you know,
sure.
all the answers for any of this stuff, but we aren't causing something that is happening in a house that we might visit or go into and run into a paranormal activity. I mean, it just happens to be there.
Right.
And we run into it and experience it. It's already happening before we get there. We are just there at the right time to experience it happening. Doesn't mean that we are making it happen.
I gotcha.
You know,
I do agree. I do agree with you. I mean, you know, I'm not playing the role of the skeptic because
I know you just putting it all out there because there's so many angles that need to be, you know, looked at, and there are many angles that.
Oh God, yes, absolutely. Okay, Mike, before we started recording, we were kind of bantering back and forth a little bit, and you were suggesting the idea of a ghost being frustrated with its position in its current state of existence, I should say.
Yeah, and its separation and
right, you know, the separation from what its living form had always known, the only stuff it had ever known, and it was you know, struggling to accept where it was now. And then we just recently joked about after you talked about for, you know, a minute or two, and I was like, yeah, well, you kind of just talked about Patrick Swayze in the movie Ghosts, kind of. You know? Yeah,
and then I was like, yeah, my water bottle was drained at that
Well,
moment.
yeah, but I like that idea. I like that notion though, because it did.
My sandbag burst.
Well, no. It was a great. It's a great. I know where you're getting at, Mike, and it was a great idea.
Yeah. Okay.
And I find it intriguing, and I want to talk about it for a second. Do you truly believe in, and that's a great example, the movie Ghosts, you know, his character Sam, you know, struggling to come to terms with where he was at, you know, and struggling to learn how to communicate, struggling to learn how to physically interact with items and objects and people on that other realm of existence.
I think there's a lot of accuracy in it, but I don't think there has to be, well, not necessarily always a learning process. Like Patrick Swayze had to do, but coming to understanding of what their existence is after dying. Yeah, there's
So you're kind of leaning towards it would be a very smooth transition for everyone involved, and not one person would ever find it a struggle, and they would.
No, I think the struggle is there. It's just, I don't know. It's like, I don't feel like you need to go to ghost school,
right?
to
Ghost school 101.
Yeah.
Now, would your teachers be invisible too?
What's that?
That was a dumb joke. I said, would your teachers be invisible? That was a dumb joke. So, bam, where's the drum beat? Where's the drums? I can't even speak right now. But I like that notion, though, Mike. I mean, we're utilizing, a pop culture iconic movie as an example.
Sure.
But, that I personally agree with it. I think it would be a struggle. I don't necessarily think it's like you come to a realization where it's like, oh, I have passed over. I know that I am now not of this earth. I mean, I have moved on. This is a better form of existence for me. I think a lot of times it is, if not the majority of times, it is a struggle, which may be negative. I might be kind of poo-pooing everything right now, but I think it's a definite chance that occurs for certain. It's
right.
It's, I mean, who doesn't? It goes back to the fear of death, especially if you're one who is afraid of dying and you don't want to die, or you die in tragic situations. You die, very, very young. Any number of examples. And then you come to realization, it's like, holy shit, I just had a baby boy. I'm a young father, and now I can't even hold my baby child anymore. Now you're struggling. Now you're sad. Now you definitely feel trapped. And I think that's a real possibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, it's not all peaches.
I agree.
Not all peaches and cream. Which is kind of I don't like saying that, but I could be wrong.
Well,
I could be wrong.
In death, it could be much like things are in life. I mean, there are ups and downs, and there's frustrations, and there are smooth things, and there are rough things.
Right.
So
yeah, I mean,
it's just in a different form, and a different aspect.
And of course, Mike, we have to say this, and anyone listening to us right now, they are smart enough to know that we are not experts. We don't know what we're talking about. We're just hypothesizing. We're theorizing.
Yeah. Sometimes we're just blowing smoke out our
hey, you said it.
butthole.
You said it. Don't say butthole. Okay. It brings me back to that terrible audio clip that I don't want to think about anymore. So, well, Mike, we're coming up on 40 minutes. Actually, we're over 40 minutes. So,
jeez, I got to go to bed.
Oh my gosh, really? Wow. Okay.
No.
Well, don't do it yet. We got a lot to talk about yet, and we got to do one last take on the SOLWAY Spaceman. So, Mike, it's time for our first time traveling excursion. Let's come back. Let's melt our brains a wee bit more, and then let's talk some SOLWAY Spaceman. How's that sound to you?
Sounds good to me.
All right, hold on, boys and girls. We got a time travel. We shall be all right. Back. All right, we have successfully returned from another time-traveling excursion. Mike, I want to throw this one out at you real quick.
Real quick, right off the bat.
Real quick.
Jump on it.
Do spirits decide...
Go to the bathroom.
There you go. Ding,
no,
ding,
they
ding.
do
You
not.
got it. And if they do, is their poop invisible? Do spirits...
It smells musty, stale, and dry.
Jesus.
Anyway.
Yeah. That just, for some reason, I'm just picturing like when they drop a load, it just sounds like a fan going for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, and then there's like a little puff of smoke, dusty smoke. and it's like, and then you smell something like burnt rubber that is lingering after years of
get it
being
out,
laid out.
Get it out.
Anyway,
okay.
Go ahead. I'm just
that joke
I'm going
fizzled.
nowhere with this. So
it fizzled. So stop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of that bad term right there, fizzled. We're talking about ghost farts and shit. So now I was going to ask, Mike, do you think...
one more thing though?
Okay.
Ghost farts, you smell them, but they leave as quick
oh God
as you smell them.
Okay.
Anyway, go ahead.
Where the hell's my foghorn sound? I mean, it's not even worth finding it right now. Okay. Do ghosts, in your opinion, Mike, from what I'm just using the simple term ghosts again, do ghosts choose to stay here? Do they choose to stay on Earth for whatever reason, to interact or perhaps to not interact? Is it something that is up to them?
I think they have that choice.
Okay.
Maybe for a certain amount of time before they leave, or on the same token, I think it happens to where they are stuck. You know, you always hear about the unfinished business.
Yep.
To where that keeps them from leaving and passing on.
Yep.
But I think they can also have that choice to stay, or maybe stay for a certain amount of time, and do whatever they have in mind to do.
And why would they? If a spirit / ghost chose to stay here, what first pops into your mind, Mike, as to why they would choose to do so?
What first pops in my mind, and it popped into my mind even before you said that,
yeah,
was for helping who is left behind,
yep,
the living to accept and to grieve properly, and to make sure that they're all right with the loss of their loved one. That's the first thing that comes to mind.
And that makes sense.
Yeah. You know, they want to make sure that who they have left behind is okay, and make sure that they know that they are okay. And we hear that how many times, you know, the
Right.
visitation of somebody in a dream or in real life, letting the living know that I'm okay. There's nothing to worry about. Everything is good. You know,
and that makes sense too. I go back to our last chat with Dustin Perry, where we
Right.
talked. He was talking about, you know, the theory that
that's
I
right.
guess I'm not sure
That
if it's a
14
theory.
days or
Yeah, I guess it's called a theory. You know, the idea that spirits / ghosts linger for up to 2 weeks, it seems, because that seems to be that time frame for whatever reason, and it makes
Right.
total sense, Mike, when you say that, as to like they want to hang around just long enough. Yeah, and maybe it's a struggle for them to hang around, you know, because that push, that pull
that they're getting there,
that they're
right.
getting to go to the next realm of existence is so strong, but they're like, no, I need to stay here to know that my loved ones are okay, that they know that I'm okay, like you said, Mike, and it has that short time frame. And again, it makes sense for personal experiences, personal stories that I've been told from my mom. My mom's had 2 husbands who have died, during her life, and she's had kind of odd, weird experiences immediately following their passing, I should say. And the skeptics, the uber skeptics, the pseudo skeptics would say that, well, that's just her emotions playing mind tricks on her. But you and I, Mike, and our listeners tend to believe that no, she was truly getting signs from both my dad and my stepfather, you know, Mick, who just recently passed away.
Right.
Because it was immediately following his passing that she was getting all of these signs, Mike, that she interpreted as signs. So was Mick there just making sure that she was indeed okay before he moved on for good?
Yeah. And I believe so. But what's important is the person that is getting the visitation, what they take from it and what they feel without having to even analyze it. You know, what do they automatically feel? What are they getting from this? You know, and you know, if a person can take that visitation or the message that they're getting and believe it without doubt, then that's gonna help them, of course, and it's also gonna help the one passing over able to pass over. You know, the living can the living can keep somebody
Good point.
from passing over.
Okay. Yeah,
not
absolutely.
letting them go.
Oh, that struck a chord with me, Mike. Yeah. In their stage of grieving and not accepting the passing of their loved ones, in a way, in a sense, in a very real sense, like you said, that is keeping them from transitioning. That's a great point.
Yeah.
I like that.
I believe that.
Yeah, I do too. Now that you said it, that's a great point. Wow. Good on, Mike. You kind of gave me a little chills there with that one. So you should pat yourself on the back.
Okay.
On your voluptuous back.
my voluptuous humpy back.
Oh God, don't say humpy. I don't like that. That one doesn't sound good.
My curvaceous.
I don't like that either.
It's well, I do have a curvaceous back because I have
spine is curved.
Yes, because my spine has that scoliosis that doctors and X-rays show.
Now, when you had said this isn't necessarily about a ghost perspective, but I do want to throw this out there before I forget. I shared on the twat on the Twitter. When
you say that, I get this.
I know it sounds gross.
I get this total visualization of something.
Don't even say it.
Something that should not be visualized with words going across it.
So on the twit, I posted that. What I had texted you earlier, when I thought I had that weird kind of experience myself this last week. You remember that, Mike? It was pretty.
I'm trying to remember.
Well, and you immediately wrote back and you said, "What were you thinking of? Were you thinking of a loved one? Were you thinking of a friend or something like that?" Because I had one of those weird moments, Mike, where I swore I heard and saw.
That's right.
Our kids behind me, and when I turned around to look, all I saw was like a fleeting glimpse of I don't know what it was. The best way to describe it without sounding weird, it was as if the last part I saw was like their butt going, it was like that high. You know what I mean?
That high.
And it was going behind the wall, the hallway wall. Because, I heard something.
So you saw something curvaceous and voluptuous.
No, don't call the kids curvaceous and voluptuous.
No, I'm not saying it was a kid because it obviously was not one of the kids.
Very true. You're right.
So don't put that on me.
No, I will not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's like, I lost my train of thought now. Yeah, okay. Now I regained it. I had that moment where I swore I could sense them behind me. I heard something moving behind me, turned around, and I thought it was Jaden, Bridget's daughter, my stepdaughter, walking behind, going to the bathroom. And behind.
So at this point, this is all you were sensing. You didn't see that.
That's what I sensed and heard. I heard something. And I turned around and I saw that glimpse of whatever it was, butt height. I saw something, kind of go behind the wall there. So much so where I turned around and I called out her name twice. Is it Jaden? I walked up, no reply. And I told Bridget, I said, did Jaden just come back up here? I mean, I audibly asked Bridget, I was like, did Jaden just walk up here? Did she go past? I continued. I walked towards the bathroom. I could see the bathroom door was open. The light was off, but I was still befuddled, and I was certain that Jaden was in there, so much so that I said, Jaden, are you in the bathroom with the light off right now? I mean, I actually asked that because I could have swore she was in there. But no kid, nothing. And it was odd. One of those weird, odd experiences. So I just wanted to throw that out.
It's more than odd, more than strange. The thing is that the only reason that you thought it was one of the kids is because that's the only thing that your mind could rationalize.
Yeah.
It's not like you heard the kid's voice. You didn't hear, or see one of the kids. You heard something, you turned around and saw something, and in your mind, it automatically had to be one of the kids because what else could it be? So, if you
Yeah.
Remove that totally, because obviously it wasn't one of the kids. It wasn't Jaden.
Right.
But you definitely sensed something behind you. You definitely
absolutely
heard something behind you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can say that, right? You definitely heard something.
I did. I mean, it's not
wasn't
like
your imagination, was it?
No. I mean, it wasn't like it was a, extremely noticeable, audible sound.
Just like the shadow person that I heard.
Yeah.
Ducked down behind the couch.
But it was almost like kind of not like it was just a noise. It was like a shuffling, maybe.
It was almost like, even if it was something as simple as, pants legs rubbing together as somebody took a step.
Right. Yeah.
It's not a lot, but it would be a sound that goes along with somebody moving.
Yeah.
That you associate with somebody behind you.
Yep.
Moving and making a sound.
And I did.
And as you turned around, you actually saw what again?
I
actually saw.
Don't
put the thought on there.
No.
What did you see?
Like I said, I just thought I'm putting in the thought, Mark.
Okay,
Mike.
Okay.
I thought I saw, again, butt height, and I'm not trying to sound weird here, but it would have been like Jaden's butt cheek, like the last thing I saw going past behind the wall. It was at that height, and that's like I just caught the last glimpse of her before she.
Yeah, and it wasn't like a really clear, like, oh, you can tell the color of the pants or anything. It was just it was a movement.
Yeah, absolutely.
More like a movement.
Yep, no colors or anything like that.
You're right. So I'm seeing this, and I'm seeing this. I don't know if you want to call it my third eye or whatever, and I'm talking about my third eye between on my forehead, not my third eye, not my.
Stop. Yeah.
But anyway, so what I'm saying is, I can see this, and I can picture you, or I am seeing you turning around with and becoming confused with what you're experiencing, but at the same time, as you heard something, I'll give you that. You thought you saw something,
right? I did,
but what you thought you saw definitely goes along with what you did hear. Going around into that doorway.
It did,
and was not a child, was not a person.
And I'm repeating myself here.
In your explanation of what you have and what you can put together, what was it? Was it your imagination, or was it something actually there?
I don't know, Mike. I'm not going to say it.
You won't let yourself know.
I'm not going to say it was my imagination, because that would piss you off.
Oh, good. That's a start. But you did hear something, though, didn't you?
Well, I thought I heard something. I thought I saw something.
Okay, you're putting it all back to thought.
The fact, the point, the aspect of this experience that befuddles me the most is just that I felt it so much that I was certain that Jaden was in the bathroom, so much so that I called out and said, Jaden, are you in the bathroom with the light off right now? Because the door to the bathroom was open, the light was off, and I was like kind of asking her, I was like, essentially like, why are you in there? Why are you in there with the light off? That's basically what I was insinuating by asking if she was there.
So you were so sure that you heard something, and that you thought that you saw something, that you were almost sure enough to ask Jaden, are you in the bathroom with the light off?
Yes, I did.
That's more than imagination, unless your imagination is so strong that it manifests things.
It could be. Well, hey, that's another topic altogether, right?
It is, Mike. Totally. But okay, what is it that made you think that it was Jaden instead of maybe Macy?
Well, the logical answer was simply because Macy wasn't with us. During the school week.
So your mind went to the most logical thought of who it could have been.
Yes, absolutely.
That's all.
Yes.
Not that you had a feeling or felt that it was Jaden. Just that's.
well, now that you put it that way, it's like, well, did I think it was her for some reason? But we'll stick with it that she would have been the only possibility.
Okay.
Because she would have been coming from upstairs, because her bedroom's downstairs. She would have been coming from upstairs, coming up the stairs behind me through the kitchen, to go to the bathroom for whatever reason, grab her makeup or whatever, anything like that. And so I assumed it would have been her. That's why. And
was this nighttime, daytime?
It was not that long after I got home after work. Probably about 5.
Okay, so it was light and everything. There was no.
Well, no, it was dark out.
Dark or anything.
Well, it was dark outside. But,
but light in the house.
Yes. The kitchen was lit. Yes. So it was interesting for sure. And and I've had some similar experiences, Mike, where I'm sitting on the on the recliner or whatever, and I'd have that feeling so strongly that someone was standing behind me, where I literally turn around expecting to see somebody there because I knew someone was there, but of course no one was. So
that means so much that you are dismissing.
But again, the skeptics, though, Mike, will say, the pseudo skeptics will say that it's just simply your mind. Your mind is doing this to you.
But you are not a pseudo skeptic.
No, I am not. I am not.
So don't even put a pseudo skeptic into the mix of this. They have nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Nothing to do with it.
But you're not saying that. But it is a possibility, though. You can't deny that it's a possibility that it's your mind that's just doing it. For whatever reason you think of, I could have been there daydreaming about somebody, and so much so that all of a sudden you felt like they're behind you.
Do you remember daydreaming at the time?
No, of course I don't. I don't know. I was like watching a football game, and that
when it comes to a certain time of experiencing these things more than once, it's happened. The feelings that you get from this. Sometimes you have to put, I'm going to use this word, and you need to apply this.
Okay.
And I've told you this before. Go with what you felt, what you feel you saw, what you feel you heard, or what you actually heard, and have faith that there was something there, and it wasn't just your analytical skeptic mind throwing games out at you.
What are you suggesting, Mike?
Have faith in yourself. Don't doubt so much.
Okay.
You want to believe so much, but you don't allow yourself to.
Wow.
You doubt yourself. What is in your mind that makes you doubt so much? And I don't want to get so analytical here, but
no, I
know. This is a part of what we've been talking about, though. What do spirits think about whatever? What do humans think? What do we think?
Very good point
about that side. So let's just switch it around a little bit. And I'm using you as what do you think, and why do you think the way you do?
That's
about the spirit world.
That's a great question.
And why is it that there's a wall that's put up?
I wish I knew the answer, because I don't want that wall there, Mike.
I know you want to believe so bad, but you can't.
And it's
I've been with you how many times when you have experienced things, and I have taken the same things that I've experienced with you, knowing that really happened. And I know you and I are two different people, but we experienced things together.
Yes.
And I know true. that really happened. We really got that on recording. We really experienced that. But there's something that I think you need to see a hypnotist and get some deep rooted issue.
I got
just
something there
chucked out of your head.
Yeah. Well, we have to clarify the difference too, because like you said, I believe it. I am a believer, Mike. I do believe in it.
Yeah, but for some reason you don't believe that you can experience these things.
Maybe I need to do maybe I need to meditate on it or something.
Absolutely.
Because I'm like, I say I believe, but maybe I don't. Maybe I truly, deep down for some reason I don't. But
I don't 100% believe. Otherwise, you would have faith in things that you have experienced, that you and I have experienced together.
Yeah, it's.
I don't know.
It's crazy, man.
But then again, maybe you're at a point in your Excuse me, I'm
Mike's belching.
belching.
The spirits are getting to you, getting to your gastrointestinal
Maybe
system.
Maybe this is the level that you're supposed to be at right now.
Mm.
You know, maybe you haven't gotten to the point where
I'm still learning.
You have things that you need to figure out in your own life, in your own mind, in your own beliefs, in your own religious beliefs that you've been brought up with. And I'm not joking about that.
I know you aren't.
That it all is one big package. You have to come to terms with many things before you can have that faith. You just might not be there yet. Obviously, you aren't there yet.
Mike, a thought just popped into my brain. I'm going with my thoughts. Okay.
That's what you need to do.
And I apologize that we're kind of going on a tangent here, but it is still related.
Right.
And I'm going to come full circle and ask you a question about this occurrence that happened to me this last week, Mike, as far as a ghost perspective. But without going on too long here, this thought that just popped into my mind was, I cannot deny, and I don't want to be all sad and depressing, I cannot deny that my dad passing away when I was 8 years old had a profound effect on me.
Oh, absolutely it did.
And
a traumatizing, profound effect.
Traumatizing. I mean, I'm doing well. I feel like I'm doing well, but there has to be something instilled in me from that very sad happening. Maybe that is somehow blocking me. Somehow.
Absolutely, very well could be.
That's the only thing that I'm kind of thinking about. Which doesn't make sense, because you think that, that would make me just want to be even more open to everything, because I want to believe that my dad is still out there somewhere, so badly I want to believe that. So you'd think that I'd be even more open. But maybe it's done the opposite. I guess I don't know. I mean, but that definitely has had an effect on me. It obviously has affected my way of thinking in some way or another. So I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with it.
Instead of me getting frustrated, which I'm sure I sound frustrated with you right now, which sometimes I do get frustrated with you.
Oh, sure. I know you do.
But that's totally the wrong way for me to go. I should be more understanding, because I think you're hitting a good point there. I don't know what it has to do with all of that, or where the whole connection is, but that's probably very true.
Now, going back full circle here because we need to time travel here and wrap it up with one last take on the Solway Spaceman. What would, Mike, let's say that what I experienced this week was somehow paranormal. There was something behind me. There was something making noises. There was something, darting across, our kitchen towards the bathroom. What would that ghost's perspective be, Mike? I mean, that's another really broad question right there. But if that was an intelligent apparition, or whatever you want to call it, what were they thinking? What's going on through their ghostly mind at that time? Are they
needed to get into the bathroom before you noticed it?
Hey, ghosts have to
and
pee too.
It didn't quite make it.
It didn't quite make it. It's like, damn it, he noticed me.
Yeah.
Do you think that it was trying to give me a sign? And if it was giving me a sign, why wasn't it being more obvious about it?
I don't think there was a sign to it. I think it was just an event.
Just an event. It could have been anything.
Anything, yeah.
So any number.
I don't think it was trying to give you. If there was supposed to be a sign there, it would have been more direct instead of.
I agree.
As fleeting as it was.
So maybe that was just kind of like a slip in the in time.
Absolutely.
Almost
in the time continuum.
Okay, I get it. I mean, shit like that happens all the time, man. When people don't
every
dismiss
day, every day that we don't even notice.
When you think that you see something in the corner of your eye, don't dismiss it.
Don't dismiss it. That doesn't mean that it is something. It could be a floaty. I mean, I have plenty of those.
But just think about, but take a moment to ponder.
A floater.
Take a moment to ponder, and
what's a floaty? Is a floaty the thing in the toilet, or is a floater?
Oh God.
in the toilet, or is it floaty in your eye?
I'm
or
thinking about
in
when
your
I
eye?
when I hear floaties, I think about the devices you put, or the
Oh,
the shit you wrap around your arms to help you float.
Those are flotation devices.
There you go, flotation devices. Yeah, yeah. I don't know about that. Well, Mike, we need to wrap this up, but we have to dive into the Solway Spaceman, my friend. Are you good? You good? You ready
I'm
to do
good.
it?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, what are we just going to keep going, or are we going to time
No.
travel?
We're time traveling first. So I'm definitely making you time travel right now.
And I'm ready for the Solway thing.
Let's do it, man. Hold on, boys and girls. You don't want to miss this. We shall be right back. Okay, we have returned from yet another successful time traveling excursion. Okay, Mike, it is time. It is time for one last take, my friend. I love this segment.
Yes, something we do on each episode. We finish the episode with a one last take on some certain subject that might be fun, could be good, could be bad, but usually it could be, and most likely is interesting.
Well, very well said. Very well said.
Yes.
This one, we're just going to cut right to the chase. We talked about this infamous photo. I'm doing air quotes for infamous photo back.
It is infamous, actually.
Back in the day, years ago on the Alternate Route podcast. And it's perfect fodder for a one last take segment, Mike, because it is absolutely up in the air. It is divided down the middle between you either think it's something odd or you think it's simply explained as...
Since 1964, still a mystery.
It is. And the fact that it is still being talked about and is going to be talked about for years to come adds credence to the mystery itself. The Solway Spaceman photo, Mike. Now, I'm going to throw this to you because as we talked during our time traveling excursions, I feel like I talk way too damn much.
But you like hearing yourself talk.
No, I don't. I hate my voice.
You don't. You hate it.
But I wanted to throw this to you to give a quick, give them the details, give them the tale of the tape, so to speak, here of what exactly the Solway Spaceman photo is all about, and then we're gonna rap about it.
Well, it is very interesting. Like we said, 1964, taken on Burgh Marsh, overlooking the Solway Firth in Cumbria, England. Hopefully, with our English listeners, I said it all correctly with the right pronunciation.
Yes.
The BBC News actually reported that Jim Templeton, and I'm reading this a little bit here, paraphrasing. Jim Templeton, he took the photo of his daughter. Like I said, in 1964, but what it shows is his daughter sitting on the grass, this nice, pretty little dress, this little girl, holding flowers, like I said, and she is smiling at the camera, and right behind her head, which looks like it's standing behind her, I don't know, a few feet back, is what looks like a spaceman in a white suit.
That looks like
wearing a helmet with a.
It looks like the generic.
Right, like a generic
spaceman outfit. You know,
it does.
Like an astronaut.
Looks like a helmet with a dark face shield on. It goes on to where this has been discussed over and over again on different formats and whatever. And actually, he was actually visited by two men in black.
That's right. Yes.
With this, and
who asked him to?
And they only referred themselves to number 9 and number 11.
And they asked him to take them to the site of where the photo was taken. And I believe I'm literally pulling this out of my ass for memory wise. I believe they said, or they asked him. Oh, how the hell did it go again, Mike? I know they left him there in anger, basically, after he brought him to the site, and they basically they disagreed with whatever the hell he said, and they just left him there, and they left him to walk home after they drove, after he drove them out there to the site. I'm gonna pull. I need to pull this up so I can get the numbers straight here and the stats straight. There.
Yeah, and
what would you say?
Catch that
would you say that? Oh, you didn't. Really?
No, where I did, about the part with the visitation, but not where he took them up there and they left him.
No, that's absolutely the case. Let's see here. I'll pull it up as well, Mike. Looking at the photo, what would you say that image looks like? If it was the average human size, to me,
Right.
it looks like it would be 30 feet behind the girl.
Right. I would say that too. But to me, okay, you see the white suit, you see, what could look like a helmet with a dark face shield, but
Sure.
if you look the way at the body, from the neck down, and the way the arm is bent, it's almost hard to tell if it is facing towards the camera or away from it.
It is.
You look at the way the arm is bent.
Yeah, you can't tell if it would be the right arm or the left arm because
Exactly. I mean, and the white suit, there's no anything button up or showing anything on the front of it. If this is the front of it, there's no seam or anything. It's just a straight white, almost like the back of a shirt. So, whether it is something that is facing forwards or backwards, it's just hard to tell.
Yeah, all the shading aspects of what we see here is it's difficult to kind of gauge a perspective.
Right.
The only sure thing I'm seeing while I'm looking at the photo, Mike, is underneath the arm, whether it's the right arm or the left arm, you can see the dark shadows underneath where the elbow is bent. So obviously you can tell where the light is coming from. But again, which way is it facing?
Right. And which way is that arm bent? Is it
Is it bent forward?
If I think about it, to me, to me, it looks more like it is the back of somebody. And that's
what it looks like to me too.
And what I get from how I get that is the way the arm looks like it's bent, and if that is on the head, that is definitely not a black face shield.
No.
It could be somebody's hair.
And that's where we're going to, we're going to get into that potential explanation. Again, Jim Templeton is the man who took this photo. He took like a series of photos of his daughter in this field, and he says that the only people nearby were a couple, like an elderly couple,
pensioners. He called them.
Yes, and they weren't even close to the area where they were taking this photo.
The pensioners, I believe, were actually sitting in a car.
Right. That's exactly right. You are correct.
Yeah. Other than his wife, Annie, and two pensioners sat in a car. The Carlisle fireman maintained he had not seen anyone else that day on Berg Marsh. Nowhere on Berg Marsh did he see anyone overlooking the Solway Firth in Cumbria. It was, he said, only when the chemist who processed his pictures pointed out the shot had been spoiled by a figure that he realized there had been somebody or something else present.
And he says that he took 3 pictures of his daughter, Elizabeth. In all 3 pictures, she was posed in a similar pose.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, quote unquote, shocked when the middle picture came back from Kodak, displaying what looks like a spaceman in the background. Templeton insisted that he did not see the figure until his photographs were developed, like you said, Mike. And analysts at Kodak confirmed that the photograph was indeed genuine. So there is something in the background, but the question is what?
Exactly what and how did it get there? But there's a lot of theories. Some people claim that it was a spirit. Others believed Jim or his daughter had psychic powers they had not been aware of. But it did get much weirder. And this is when I'll read here, then came a visit from 2 men in black who asked to be taken to the spot where the image was taken and referred to each other only as number 9 and number 11. And then it gets just crazy,
Mike,
going all over the place.
Can I interrupt real quick, though?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because to answer your question there, or not answer your question, but to clarify what you had not heard of before, yes, indeed, Templeton was visited by these 2 men in black who claimed that they were from the government, worked for the government in whatever capacity. And Templeton claimed that they refused to show their identification and that they had, quote unquote, said they worked for the government and that they were only identified by number, like you said, 9 and 11. No, then after
Number
taking the
nine.
men, number
Number
nine.
nine.
I was
Number
waiting.
nine.
I was waiting for you to
Number
do that.
nine. Number nine. Okay, go ahead.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay. Now, after taking the men to the site where the photos were taken, Templeton said that when he explained he had not seen the figure at the time the photos were taken, the men became angry and drove away, leaving him there to walk home. In September 1964, Templeton dismissed the two men as frauds, saying, quote unquote, "It all looks like a leg pull to me. I'm sure the men were not security agents." So that adds a little twist to this.
It does.
Because if this is all one big hoax, one big conspiracy, obviously Mr. Templeton doesn't feel like he's a part of this because he thinks he's calling out these gentlemen as frauds themselves.
Right.
Themselves, I should say. That makes it kind of intriguing. Why, if he was faking this, I guess, why go through the effort of claiming that he's bringing these agents out there and that they get pissed at him and leave him there for to walk home after not identifying themselves? And I don't know, it's a little intriguing, weird twist to that story.
It's very strange, but it does get even weirder. I mean, getting
it does.
The link to a planned launch of a blue streak missile in Woomera, South Australia. Even have you read that, where it actually is they're connecting it with that?
The Blue Streak missile launch. I just read it right now. Blue Streak missile launch at the Woomera test range in South Australia.
Right.
Claims that had been aborted. Claims it was aborted because the figures of two large men were seen on the firing range. Interesting. And these are also claimed by Templeton. And he says that he alleged that technicians later saw his photograph in an Australian newspaper and found the figures to be exactly the same. Let's back up here so we can get the not the perspective here, the context. What we just spoke of here in BBC Look North. That's either I'm ignorant about that. Is that a magazine or a newspaper article? I'm not sure.
I believe so. Yeah, it must be.
In the BBC Look North interview and a letter to the Daily Mail, like you said, Mike, Templeton also said that a Blue Streak missile launch. Now, I'm clicking on Blue Streak. Blue Streak was a British intermediate range ballistic missile. So we have to clarify what Blue Streak was all about. just so we know what the hell we're talking about.
Yeah.
Now, and missile launch at the Woomera test range in South Australia, blah, 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 blah. Now I am reading. Had been aborted because of figures of two large men. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. So, okay, now I'm getting a little confused here.
Yeah, it kind of gets going all over the place.
Then goes on to say that responding to a request from ufologists to know if the photo was of interest to the authorities, a British Ministry of Defense official said that the Templeton photo was of no interest to them. Interesting. In 2011 interview, shortly before his death, Templeton, then 91, said that Elizabeth and grandson Thomas, his daughter Elizabeth and grandson Thomas, were taking over as custodians of his 20,000 image historical library. But still, it's still a mystery as to what the hell is going on with this photo. Nothing has ever been proven or debunked. We have to read about we have to do the devil's advocate here, though, Mike.
Right.
One of the possible explanations of what exactly is this quote-unquote spaceman. And this was posited by UFO book author David Clark back in 2014. He says that the spaceman is simply most likely Templeton's wife. He goes on to say that his wife, Annie, who was indeed present, was seen on another photograph taken that day. And he says that I think for some reason his wife walked into the shot and he didn't see her because with that particular make of camera, you could only see 70% of what was in the shot through the viewfinder. Annie Templeton was wearing a pale blue dress on the day in question, which was in fact partially overexposed as white in another separate photo. She also had dark bobbed hair, which could explain maybe what looks like the face shield.
Right.
It had been argued
that kind of makes sense to me, actually.
Well, it does. It does. It had been argued
Because,
that when using photo software to darken the image and straighten to the horizon, the figure increasingly appears to be a regular person viewed from behind. Now, I mentioned this earlier, Mike, tonight before we started recording. One thing that I do question about this, when he says that, I have to go back to the quote. When he says, when you see her because with that particular makeup camera, you only see 70% of what was in the shot through the viewfinder. That makes me question, well, what the hell type of photographer is this guy? When you look at the photo, cut off 30% of it. What's he focusing on then?
Exactly.
Because he says that you only see 70% of what is in the shot. So look at that photo.
Mm-hmm.
How could that be? What is he cutting off there where there's only 70% viewable?
There's nothing cut off. If he's taking a picture of his daughter, it's perfectly.
You know what I'm saying there? You kind of get what I'm getting. You get what I'm shooting for, buddy? I mean, he's either a horrible photographer,
right,
or he's cutting off the top of his daughter's head. I don't understand what is missing here. What 30% is gone that he wouldn't have seen. The figure is directly above his daughter's head, directly above her head.
Mm-hmm.
So what? That explanation doesn't make sense because it would have been there. The image would have been there.
And the thing is, too, is that whatever camera you have, and I've looked through very old cameras, and there, if there's 30% that's cut off, you still center your subject in the viewfinder that you are looking through.
That's what I'm saying. And that image is directly above her head.
Right.
I mean, I took the real wide roundabout way of trying to get to that point, and I apologize for that. But his debunking of that doesn't debunk the fact that it's directly above her head.
Right.
I'm going to read it again, just so we're clear here, Mike. He says, UFO book author David Clark, who's debunking this, he says, I think for some reason his wife walked into the shot and he, Mr. Templeton, didn't see her because with that particular makeup camera, you could only see 70% of what was in the shot through the viewfinder. So he's saying that he didn't see her directly above his daughter's head.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
I mean, is that, you look at the photo. I'm looking at with my finger right now. I'm trying to cut off 30% so I can see 70% of it. I still see at least the elbow and the arm if I'm cutting off 30%. And if he indeed is cutting that off, oh, I'm getting frustrated looking at this, Mike, because that argument I just don't. I'm not gripping it.
No, I don't buy it either.
Well, wait a minute. It just clicked with me. Shit.
Okay.
I feel like I should delete this last 10 minutes. Now I got it. Okay, I see. I was looking at it backwards, Mike.
Okay.
Okay, I see it now. I understand what he's saying. Because he only does see, assuming that, okay, let me see how I can phrase this. He's focusing on his his daughter's face here. And he sees her haircut. He doesn't see the top of her head. Because 30% of the picture the eventual picture he's not going to see.
Okay.
And then when I lift, I'm blocking it off with my pen right now. And when I lift my pen, well then yeah, of course, there's that image. I get it now. Oh, damn it. Maybe that does explain it. If it's only maybe his mom did sincerely walk behind there.
But yet, why did he explain that she was in
not
the
there.
car with the two pensioners and nobody else was even there?
And would that simply be her haircut, the bobbed haircut, which looks like the shielded face?
If she wasn't in the car and she was standing behind her daughter.
Okay, for a second now. Devil's advocate, Mike.
Okay.
He's focusing on his daughter's face. How would he not see his wife walk into the frame? How would he not see her feet walk into the frame? Even if it was cut off.
Exactly. Right.
Even if he only sees 70% of it.
Looking through that, he wasn't looking through the camera the entire time.
Right.
He would have been looking, bringing the camera up.
Oh, that's
and
right.
then dropping the camera.
Oh my God. I'm going back and forth on this again now. Oh, I love it. Mike, what do you think? It's one last take time, man. What do you think? I apologize for confusing our listeners. I didn't mean to do so, but I
think there was something.
I misinterpreted it.
I don't think that it was the family trying to put a hoax over on people. Mm-hmm. I don't think this was pre-planned as a let's make it look like there's a spaceman behind the girl.
Right.
I think something strange happened, something that they aren't even sure of happened. But then you have to bring in the idea of, well, what about the men in black, and what about all this other stuff that it gets really deep?
That's the weird part. One of the weird parts.
Where did that come from? I mean, that's a lot to come up with.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got an example. Well, it's kind of an example.
If Jim Templeton made that up about the men in black visiting him, why would he then poo-poo them as being frauds?
Right. Yeah, there's things like that make you wonder.
But think about it for a second. It's like, he was, if true, if it was really a fake photo and he's really trying to fool people. I mean, that took a lot of pre-planning. He's like, oh, by the way, I'm going to fake this photo, and then I'm going to say that I was visited by men in black, and then I'm going to claim myself that I thought those men in black were frauds.
And then back in 1964, did they even know what men in black were?
That's a good question.
How much did they know about things like that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, Mike, what would be your last take on our rambling, bumbling, stumbling attempt at describing what the SOLWAY Spaceman is? It does. It really does. We have to make a decision, though. That's what one last take is all about, man. What is your last take? What is your opinion, your take on the SOLWAY Spaceman image?
My take is that this was not something that they pre-planned, not something that they hoaxed. Something. Oh my God.
Mike's getting frustrated. I love it. I don't love that you're frustrated, but I can tell the wheels are spinning in your.
And I have to think too, is that why would there be a spaceman just all of a sudden appearing there for a moment enough to be in this photograph and then be gone? Or was it just a glitch in the time continuum thing again, or the in the Matrix where this popped out?
And you mentioned, Mike, I'm being honest, I hadn't even thought about this possibility, but you mentioned that did they capture a ghost?
That's very possible too. And that might be even more likely.
That seems more of a rational explanation to me.
Maybe it's something that maybe in that area there was like a Roman battle, centuries before that.
You're diving deep into that
popped
one.
Out. I don't know.
Well,
I think something happened, and
do you
I
buy
think
it
it's
as
a 60% chance that it's paranormal.
Oh, thank you. You read my mind, because I was going to ask you. I said, do you buy it as something unexplainable and something odd / paranormal? And you think so. You're leaning towards 60% something out of the ordinary.
I can't go much further than 60%.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you on that one. Man, it's intriguing, that's for sure. again, if it's his wife, how the hell did he not see her walking into the frame from the left or the right?
Either way, he would have seen her walk into the frame.
Yeah, unless his wife was
whether
like,
it would have been just her feet or whatever.
Yeah. Did Mr. Templeton gain financial benefits from hoaxing this?
Yeah. And we don't know that for sure. And we don't know what kind of a character he was. Was he somebody that
sure.
loved a good joke? We don't know that either.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know anything about his character.
Well, Mike, I have to say I'm leaning with you, but even less so. I would say I would have to say I'm going 30% chance that is something paranormal, something abnormal, something perhaps from space, the Solway Spaceman.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but 70% that it is some visual glitch that just happened to occur on those old 1964 cameras. Maybe it was his wife. Maybe her dress was overexposed and it looks white, but because she was wearing a blue dress that day, and another photo from that day, her dress was overexposed and it appeared white, just like it does in this photo, if it is indeed her.
Right.
But you look at those shadows. You look at the shadows under the elbow. It is a little intriguing. It's kind of odd to me. It looks like it's her back. You see, it's her right arm.
Right.
It's bent because of how the shadows go. It's the back of her hair is what we are seeing. It's not an alien. It's not an astronaut. It's not a spaceman. 30% chance that it may be something abnormal, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's very possible. And like I said, I don't think that they nefariously did anything.
No, I don't think so either.
Maybe he figured it out later on where like, oh yeah, I think that was me wife. But then it's like, but we're having fun with this. So let's let it go.
By that point, they're like, why would we, like you said, Mike, why would we lessen the intrigue by, poo-pooing it
exactly.
ourselves? Okay. I get it. So,
and will we ever find out?
No,
the world may never know.
Mike, it's a much lesser example, but it's along the same lines as the Patterson film, man. I keep repeating myself. The fact that the Patterson film has yet to be debunked thoroughly adds more credence to it as each year passes.
Yeah, but we do have more faith in that, though.
Oh, 100% we do. But that's why I paraphrase, or not paraphrase, but I suggested that it's similar.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
In this notion that, well, it hasn't been debunked, so therefore maybe it is real. Who knows? This one, I do not think so.
It kind of reminds me of in our own travels and experiences, the whole video of or recording of press play.
Oh, that's a great example.
Will we ever know?
Well, we're not. We're not going to. We have our thoughts. We have our opinions. And well, that's all I'm going to say.
Right. Let's leave it at that.
Well, Mike, this has been a blast. Thank you so much, buddy. Hopefully our listeners, you enjoyed this because we had a great time talking about it. What do you guys think? What do ghosts have emotions? What is a ghost's perspective? Is there a ghost lingering behind you right now? And if they're looking at you, what are they thinking?
And is that ghost behind you, or is it possibly Jaden,
or it's just some sort of like swamp gas that's leaked into your house? I don't know what the hell it would have been.
Or is it just Jaden gas?
Jaden gas as well.
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm going to tell her that tomorrow. I was like, we said Jaden gas on the podcast. Ha ha. Yeah, she'll love that one. Oh my God, embarrassing.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, again, thank you very much, buddy. It was great seeing you last night.
Absolutely.
We had a good time with the Ouija board session. I'm going to be getting all that shit out on Patreon. I'm going to watch it and listen to it first, obviously. And I also have another clip from back on Halloween Day where I filmed myself doing a cemetery EVP session.
That's right.
And it's about a 15-minute long clip. There's some interesting replies. I had the Spirit Box app going. Who knows? Who knows what it was? But I'll be posting that shortly, as in tomorrow. So
Yeah.
patrons, we love you. We're going to get some cool video, audio content out there tomorrow, and we'll have a Patreon exclusive episode coming up this week. Until next time, Mike, thank you so much. What do our awesome listeners need to do?
Plain and simple. Peace out.